All right. Hey, welcome. This is the Rocky Series Going the Distance podcast, and I'm live in Reiner Balkan Studios via the garage. And with me today is Dave. Now, am I saying this right? Dave Barrell or Dave Barrell?
Barrel.
Barrell. Okay. As
That's
in
it. Yeah.
just
Roll
like
out that.
barrel. All right.
Yeah.
And Dave, you are from the sound of your accent, you're from California. Is that correct?
Not quite. No, a couple of miles just outside in Surrey, in England.
Okay. My apologies. Okay. I always get my accents mixed up. Well, let me set up Dave a little bit here. So it's always very exciting for Ruben and I to get people contacting us. It doesn't happen very often, but we do get people contacting us, and they say they're either fans of the show. Well, I would assume if they're contacting us, they're fans of the show, which is kind of weird if they're just contacting us and weren't fans of the show. But we get people contacting us and say, "Hey, we like your show and keep it up." And some people say, "Hey, I like your show, and can I crack wise with you guys about Rocky?" And Dave is one of those individuals who happen to say, "Hey, you have guests on your show. I'd like to come on your show and crack wise." So, Dave, you ready?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. Well, first tell us about yourself. So you're in the UK. Do you mind giving us? You don't have to, but give us your age and tell us what Rocky meant to you and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm 37, living in a small town called Red Hill, just outside of London. I've been a Rocky fan as long as I can remember. That's the movies. I've bought all the movies probably about 3 times, from video to into DVD. Love the music as well. It's hugely inspiring. Bought the music for the first time when it was on cassette into CD, and then downloading it on iTunes straight to the iPod, and use it a hell of a lot when I'm training.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you're 37, so you're 4 years younger than me, and just 2 years younger than Ruben. So yeah, you were about that same age group in the 80s and 90s, and definitely Rocky was a part of, and Stallone was a part of that, the peak of his career. So you were around during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the first memories I have that includes Rocky was actually watching Rocky 4 when my parents were having a dinner party downstairs. They was like, get a video, just stay out of the way and watch it. I remember watching it, got really into it, and I was literally sitting on the end of the bed. And when he won, I jumped up and I screamed and cheered, "Yeah, he's won!" And my parents come running up at the stairs and they're like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Rocky's just beating Ivan Drago." And they're like, "What are you doing?"
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, my how old were you then, actually?
Say again, sorry.
How old were you when you saw that?
Um, I could have maybe about 9 or 10, something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, because my I have a 10-year-old son. He just started watching Rocky with me, and he's just finished Rocky 4, and he's begging. It's funny. The last 2 weekends, he's been begging to watch Rocky 5. I've been dragging my feet.
Oh, come on. I mean, it's got a bad rap, but there's some good bits in it. And probably, I think, one of the greatest scenes out of the whole franchise is actually in that movie, if not the greatest, that flashback, well, semi-flashback scene with Mickey.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And it's not. I haven't told them anything. Like I haven't said, "Oh, this is not a." It doesn't hold up the way the other ones hold up. And I love Rocky 5 too. Like I've seen it. I've never watched Rocky 1 to 4 and skip to Balboa. You know what I mean? I always watch Rocky 5. I never skip Rocky 5 to watch Rocky Balboa when I watch the series.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I read something a couple of years ago about it, and one of the reasons I think Stallone wasn't happy with it was I think he originally was saying that when he wrote it, he was going to kill off Balboa, and at the last minute, the studio got nervous about it. They didn't want to kill him off, so hence why it was such a bad ending. So we should be grateful, really, because if it had gone the way Stallone wanted it, then we would never have got Balboa and we'd never got Creed.
Yeah, there is apparently. You've heard of our super fan Matt, and he's huge on Rocky 5. And apparently, he's got a hands on. Somehow, he's got hands on this DVD or there's like a Rocky 5 director's cut or something that's a much darker, heavy drama version of the film. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No, no, I've not heard of that.
So there's some scenes on the internet, of course, on YouTube of deleted scenes that never made the cut. Apparently, there's a script, the original Rocky script. I always kind of hesitate. I don't know how legit some of these are, if they're fan made or not. But there is a script out there that shows the Rocky death, him dying in Adrian's arms.
Yeah, that would have just been devastating for me if I'd have seen that. I'm almost dreading Creed 2 in case they decide to have something happen between like the first and second Creed film. It's not going to be a good day for me if I see that.
Yeah, well, yeah, before we talk about that, yeah, we'll just finish up this Rocky 5. That's a good point. Stallone, he's very interesting. Like I don't see the need to kill Rocky that way. And it would have been a really brutal way for Rocky to die in that street fight, because that street fight, it is a kind of a brutal fight. Like that Rocky 5 street fight, there's nothing. I said this before, but I wouldn't mind if they had a couple punches thrown at each other, kind of in anger in the street, maybe, but then it stops kind of quickly and like, hey, we got to finish this in the ring properly. Like let's not tarnish, what boxing's about, because fighters do kind of like push each other around and maybe get heated before a boxing match. But the fact that they went it's pretty brutal, like body slamming on the pavement and faces bleeding open and hitting the car it's almost that ending for me. That's the only bad part of the movie. There's a lot of good parts in that movie, like you said. And I think if they ended that movie in the ring, we may not have had Rocky Balboa to begin with, but I don't think it would have been as lauded or as hated as it is now.
I went to see it at the cinema, and I remember actually thinking, even when they was having that street fight, I'm like, there's like only about 5-10 minutes to go. When's it going to get to the boxing ring? I didn't quite realize at the time that was the ending. And I agree. I think if it had ended in the ring, then it would have been a normal, inverted commas, Rocky movie.
Yeah, it's almost like having a Star Wars movie with they did it actually with the Rogue One story, I guess, without lightsabers until Darth Vader came around, but it doesn't quite feel the same. It doesn't quite feel like the same universe, even though it's the same universe. So yeah. Well, go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, it was a very disappointing movie, and but as I say, I mean, it had such great scenes in it, and I say the Mickey one stands out for me. The one near the end with him and Adrian rowing in the street, and her finally reaching to him, making him realise, do you know what? I understand why you want to be with Tommy and how he makes you feel the way you did back in the day. But do you know what? You've got your son that needs your help. You've got to go help him. Just forget Tommy.
Agreed. Yeah, there was some incredible acting by the cast and crew, and boy, Paulie, that was actually Rocky 5 was the first Rocky film where I was really truly disappointed in Paulie. I really felt the sting of what he did to their finances.
Yeah, I think that, but was that just I don't know, just him not reading the small print properly? And haven't we all been there from time to time?
He's selling the motorcycle, and he's I don't know why I enjoyed. I lived vicariously through Rocky because I was raised with very humble parents. Like I wasn't, we were middle class, but lower middle class. I don't know what it is anymore, but the idea of having all that money was very appealing as a kid, to see him live that very successful life. And to have it ripped away at what we thought was the last film, like, he worked so hard to be rich and had all that money, and now he's like back to Rocky 1 status. It was kind of a frustrating experience in a way.
But I'm wondering, is that maybe what Stallone was specifically looking for, to give it that full character arc and taking him back to where it all began? I mean, he got the same director, and my mind's gone blank now. The director,
John Avildsen.
That's it, John Avildsen. Got him back to do it. So it's almost like he just wanted to bring him back full circle and end it that way. It's
interesting that John came back. I mean, I guess that was the idea, to maybe recreate or try to catch lightning in a bottle again to end the series. It started with John Avildsen, ended with John Avildsen. But I thought, they butted heads. I think they even butted heads on the first Rocky film. So I guess kudos to Stallone to hand the reins over to the original director, but I can only imagine that Stallone at that time was probably still very much in charge.
I could imagine so. I mean, if he wasn't happy with something, he would have said, like, no, it's not working this way. We've got to go this route. And yeah, he got the reins back quickly enough. Well, say quickly enough. 16 years later for Balboa.
Right. So let's first. I asked you. I don't know if you're ready, but first let's rank the films. Do you have them ranked in your head?
Oh, do you know what? I've been thinking about this for an entire week. Obviously, one is number one. That just goes without saying for me. And you know, despite the good scenes in there, number 5 is last. Then for me, Rocky 2 is number 2. Then I think probably I'll go for Balboa. 4, 3. And I've forgotten Creed, haven't I? Probably put Creed in at number 4.
Okay.
So yeah, so 1, 2, 4, Creed, Balboa 5.
That works. I like
it.
That's good. Yeah, that's yeah, it's tough to put. 2 is really like I go 1. I think my order is 1, and then I go right to 4 because I think 4 just kind of has the replay value of 4 is very strong.
It's definitely the most epic film, I think, of all of them. I mean, you think it's literally action from the very beginning. I mean, you got a death in the first 20, 25 minutes, and then it's like montage after montage, and it's just very, very fast moving. It's like very stereotypical of Stallone at that time. It was a good film, but I think for me, it's not as high as the others could have been. But I mean, fair play. It's gone down as one of the reasons why the Cold War started to end. So you did some good there with that film.
Yeah, we always joke that Rocky IV ended the Cold War, but Rambo 3 started ISIS.
Well, you know, he can't win them
all. So Creed 2. What are your feelings on Creed 2? What do you hope happens? What do you hope doesn't happen?
Well, I hope they don't kill him off for a start. I've read something last week that he only has a cameo performance. That's the latest thing I've read at the very beginning. But I've also heard the theory that they're going to kind of do a Godfather 2 style film. They're going to bring back Apollo Creed and run a story side by side, which would be interesting to see how they can pull that off. They're both of an age now, and if they're going to go back to kind of the beginning, how they're going to do that.
Okay, well, yeah, it's funny. I kind of haven't delved into any reading about the Creed 2 process or who's in it or how much he's in it. So you saying that he's in a cameo at the beginning, I can see that. I can kind of see how that makes sense because I almost feel like he should either have no part in it whatsoever, or like you said, maybe just kind of like here you go, buddy, go live your dream and go get him, and I'm done, I'm tired, I'm sick, or whatever it might be. Kind of give him the official handing of the torch send off into his career. But then you said like there's this montage or this parallel storytelling of Apollo maybe having the affair, letting maybe that backstory of how Adonis became to live in that facility as a kid. It'd be a very interesting side story to see how Apollo handled things with his wife. And there's a movie being made right now. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Irishman.
No.
It's with Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Joe Pesci, with Martin Scorsese directing. I think Netflix bought the rights to put the film on Netflix. So it's a really big, ambitious project that Netflix basically said, we'll buy the rights and show it on Netflix. And but it reunites, Robert De Niro with Joe Pesci and somebody else with the Martin Scorsese film, which is very exciting because it's a mobster film. But apparently they're going to CGI Robert De Niro to make him young in the film.
Okay, well, I mean, they've started doing that quite a bit recently. I mean, they've done it in the Terminator films, like last 2 Terminator films recently. Done it in Rogue One with Peter Cushing as well. So it's certainly something that's becoming more and more frequent in the movies, and I don't think you lose anything by doing that.
No, well, not at all. Well, they did it with another film I just saw recently. What was it? Oh, it was the Avengers, Captain America: Civil War. They did it with Robert Downey Jr.'s. Tony Stark, he was CGI to be young, like a young, like Robert De Niro. He looked like he was a teenager or 20-something or something like that. So they do it very easy, which is cool because you think about it, it's still the actor. It's his voice. It's his body motions. Basically, all they're doing is clearing their face and making them look young. And I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I think you add some. You can do a lot of trickery now. You can get actors who are in their 70s and 80s and put them in roles and make them look young and exciting.
Yeah, well, I don't think it would. I don't think you're going to lose anything if you was to do that in Creed 2 and run a parallel film. Parallel story. And if you got Rocky involved in that, and I don't know, maybe it comes in somewhere between Rocky's. I don't know if they can do it between Rocky's 3 and 4, when they forge their friendship and see what's going on. And wouldn't it be great to see that fight as well? The fight that you never see actually played out in full.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah. Well, if they do make them young, some of the side story stuff they could do, if they could make Paulie look younger, though he's always looked old in every one of them, so who knows?
Yeah.
Bless Burt Young's heart, but it's funny, he's changed the least, for better for worse, in all the films.
Yeah, and you know what? When you listen to him as well, doing interviews and things like that, he sounds nothing like Paulie. He puts his voice is just so, he's almost like mumbling the whole time. He sounds nothing like Paulie in the actual films.
Burt Young, we've asked him from the very start of this podcast. We asked his camp, like when we first started this podcast, we hadn't even released an episode yet, and we were hitting people up for interviews. We asked Frank Stallone, and then we asked Burt Young's camp, and both camps came back and said, "Oh, we'll think about it. We'll look into it. Give us a." And now, funny enough, now that we're almost 40 episodes deep, no one, we've asked them again. There's no response. Either they've heard some of our podcasts, and rightfully so, or too afraid to talk to us. Yeah, it's too bad, because I got really excited because like I said, Burt Young's representative, whoever he is, like, so he's a little bit busy right now, but I'll run this by them. But I don't know. And people have asked me, like, "Oh, have you tried to get Stallone?" I'm like, no, I haven't tried. Partly because it's like, how do you say it? It's like asking the prettiest girl in the school for, to be the prom queen, but you have no experience whatsoever with the other girls. You kind of want to, you don't want to go in that cold, So, yeah. And I kind of wanted to build a resume, and I just got a feeling. I mean, how many people does Stallone have around him before you actually get to him? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, you've got to get him on here at some point. I mean, that'll just be amazing. If nothing else, just to see how you guys deal with it and suddenly get all those squeaky voices because you're suddenly really nervous. You're talking to this guy for the first time. It would be awesome.
Yeah, even if it's just 5 minutes. Like I said before, I would, even if you just called my phone and said, "Look, I'll call your phone. You don't answer the phone. I'll just leave a message." And the message could just be, "Hey, everybody, listen to this Rocky Series podcast. It's the best podcast out there," type thing. If it's just his plug, that's all I need.
I'll tell you, I mean, the listeners would just shoot through the roof. You just play that out once, it would be amazing.
Oh, man. And, we have a lot of, the majority of our listeners from the States are Californian. So I'm always hoping that it's him or somebody that works with him is listening to our show from California. Or maybe one of his beautiful daughters, and say, "Hey, Dad, you check out these guys. They talk about you every week." But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to happen. You just got to keep the faith and keep believing it's going to happen.
I hope so.
Might be a million. It could be 1,000,000 to 1 shot, but they paid off in the past, haven't they?
It's 1,000,000 to 1 shot, and I kind of want to. I don't want to use the Rocky mantra against them, but 1,000,000 to 1 shot. But I kind of want to say, look, when you were 30 years old and you were just a bum, somebody took a chance on you. I'm 40, mind you, but maybe you can give this guy a chance. We're passionate about what you were passionate about, and I don't know. We'll see. We're getting close to kind of start talking to his management. I think the person that is closest to him is that producer, and his name escapes me. Anyways, somebody that's been has produced the last 15 years of his films. I think is
okay.
Guy that he's closest with right now for handling the business side of things. But we'll
see.
If
if you do ever get him on, you've got to call me on here and get me on at the same time. That would be just like my live stream there to say hi to him.
It's crazy because people, like, you see these pictures on the internet, right? Like, "Oh, look, we bumped into Stallone today." And it's like, who are these people that just randomly go through their life? Like, there's people that ran into him, like, on the Rocky steps. He happened to be there, and they were jogging. He took a picture with them, or they're on a hike or something. It's just like these random people who know who he is, but I wonder, are you as big a fan as me? You know, like he's never going to come to Victoria, British Columbia. I'm going to bump into him here. So it's like, I'm happy for those people. Like I always say, I'm not jealous, because jealous would mean that I don't want them to have that experience. I'm just envious that they're having that experience, and I want it too.
Well, yeah, maybe you should do one of these podcasts on location.
Yeah,
do it from the bottom of the steps.
That'd be awesome. That'd be really cool. I have to go there. As you know, Ruben's been there. He likes to tease me about him being there, and I've never been there yet. But I hope to. I really hope to go to Philadelphia, and that's a great idea to do a podcast from the steps or from the statue or something like that. That'd be really cool. Very cool.
Get Mike Kunda back on at the same time.
Yeah, well, he'll be there for sure. I'll go on that tour. He was one of our first guests, actually, and one of our biggest episodes actually is his episode. I don't know how people find our episodes, but you said how did you find us again? How did you find us?
So I was just mucking about on my phone on iTunes, and I just did a type to search Rocky podcast, and you guys came up. And
that's awesome.
I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 podcasts in by that point, and I listened to them all within a couple of days, and just been subscribing ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you. Makes you feel good, because we always wonder, how do people find us? And you know, our listenership is small but dedicated, and what it comes down to is if you have money, that's how you advertise, right? Like you can get yourself out there if you spend the money, but I mean, my wife won't give me the budget. Like she's happy to give me the budget just to host this thing, you know. And I got up early today to do this interview because she's like, I love her. I'm just saying, we have a busy life, and it's like I got to make sure this hobby doesn't override my real life with job and kids and stuff like that. And so it's not really her. Like but if I could like even budget like $100 or $200 a month, that'd be amazing. Like we could probably. You know, advertising does work. So we organically have grown, which is actually kind of cool to see how we've just organically put ourselves out there and grow the product.
That's the thing is, you only need one listener that's got a contact somewhere, and you guys could just take off. So,
well, the James Rolfe interview, that went really well.
Cool.
The Angry Video Game Nerd. I don't know if you remember that episode.
It's a few episodes ago, wasn't it? Now I think.
Yeah, he was the guy that was in charge of. He does all the video game reviews and stuff on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah. I do remember that now.
Yeah, he's a very popular YouTube personality, and he actually gave us a bit of a boost in our listenership and our fans. People, so that's the kind of stuff. That's how you grow organically. It's like, oh, these guys are okay, and when you get somebody, he's got like 2 million subscribers on YouTube. No, I wish I had, but just you trickle away some of the everyone trickles in a little bit from hearing about you.
Well, okay, so
I was just
saying, I'm not promising to get you that many listeners, but I've been banging on all week that I'm going to be doing this, and I've been saying you can hear it live on their YouTube channel. I told everyone at work. I told all the parents of my kids' football team. And so I'll hopefully get you another couple, but it won't be that many.
Oh, that's very kind of you. That's very awesome. Oh, hey, that's awesome. I appreciate you even reaching out to us. It's actually kind of brave of you. That shows a lot of. I don't know if I could do that. Just put myself out there, ironically, to another podcast. And say,
I was just like, hey, what are you guys doing?
That's pretty cool. So Creed 2, we were talking about what you were hoping would happen for that. Oh yeah, we were talking about the parallel story. My only fear is like you were saying before, is seeing Rocky die on screen. I don't think as a viewer we need to see that death.
No, but I don't know, it's weird. At the same time, you don't want something to have happened off screen, because I don't think that's going to be fair to the character himself, because he's been going now for over 40 years, 41, 42 years, whatever it is. And for him just to be outed off screen, I think would be a disservice to him. Not that I want to see him die on screen either. So I'm not too sure how they're going to deal with that.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a tough call, because there'll be those who feel cheated that we never got to say goodbye to him on screen, because that's that personal connection to see him pass, the character, of course, not Stallone. To see the character pass on screen and to kind of have that mourning moment with him. because I think in some ways, I think we kind of got cheated out of Adrian's passing.
Yeah, I was surprised by that choice, the choice that Stallone made in that. I think out of everything within the film Rocky Balboa, that was the one thing I was surprised at and a little disappointed at, the way that he dealt with it.
I think in the real world there was some sort of conflict of schedule or something. I don't think it was right away that he wanted Adrian not in the film, or Talia Shire. I can't quite recall. There's something going on in her life, because I think they had a discussion where the film was going forward, and Stallone's like, how do you feel about me just having you dead and perpetuating the story that way? And I think she was totally. So the good news is, at the very least, is that there was a discussion beforehand about the passing, and that it wasn't she wasn't blindsided about not being in the film, that she was on board with that creative idea.
Well, I mean, on the behind the scenes that you get on the DVD, I mean, she was there for the premiere and various different interviews, so there was obviously no she wasn't sorry, she wasn't upset by that decision, and I kind of understood why he needed to have her die to get on the journey in that film, but to not see it on screen was a surprise.
And I guess the same with Paulie to Creed, same idea.
Yeah, and I hadn't read anything about that before I saw the film, so again, I was very surprised. But again, it kind of made sense. He was trying to say, everyone that I've had that I've loved is now gone. I'm on my own. Why the hell should I keep on fighting now? And it took Adonis to actually say, do you know what? I'm here. I'm your friend. I'm going to fight. You're going to fight.
Yeah. What was the weakest part of Creed for you?
It's a difficult one. I don't think that you can like the first film, Rocky, and not like Creed. So I don't think there was a weak point, because in some ways it was almost like a tread for tread remake. And for Rocky the fighter, you've now got Adonis the fighter. For Mickey the trainer, you've now got Rocky the trainer. I suppose the only real difference was maybe that his name's gone out of my head as well. Sorry, the pretty boy.
Oh, the boxer.
Yeah, my mind's gone blank on that.
Yeah, no, I forget the name too. My Creed viewing, I've only seen it a few times, and so all the side character names I'm still not as boned up on as I am with the other Rocky films.
Yeah, but he obviously was a much more of a quote unquote bad boy than Apollo Creed was in the first one, because I mean Apollo wasn't really a bad guy in either of the films, really, to be fair, compared to some of the other fighters that Rocky faced in all the films, whereas obviously in Creed, the other fighter, because I can't remember his name, was much more of a bad guy, because he was having to have this fight to provide for his wife and kids once he goes down. Right.
No, it's a good point you brought up about Apollo. He was never, I like that, actually, that he wasn't created as a bad guy. We rooted for Rocky, but not because we wanted to see Creed destroyed. Like, we, as a viewer, we really respected and feared Creed. His ability was, like Rocky said, he was the best. We knew that Creed was the best, that this was an insurmountable opponent in many ways. That in many ways, like we know in the first Rocky film, his challenge to himself was not to necessarily beat Creed, but to go that distance, because no one else has gone the distance with Creed. And then the second one, it's interesting. I wonder what Rocky's mindset was in the second one. I know he won the fight, but it's interesting that he really wanted to go the distance. He never really talked about, I guess, Adrian saying win. I guess he really did think he was going to win, but I don't know if I'm making sense here. It's just it was a different feeling of.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in the first one, as you say, he just wanted to go the distance, last the full 15 rounds. And the second time, well, I mean, he says when he meets up with Mickey on the stairs, maybe we can go one better this time. So I think he's already thinking at that point, do you know what? Yeah, maybe I have got a chance of beating this guy. So yeah, I think possibly he was maybe thinking in the second film, let's go out and win. Maybe not as close a call as it was in the end, but I think he was going for the win in that one.
Yeah, I love that scene on the stairs between Mickey and Rocky, where Rocky's like, "Yeah, maybe we can do better," and Mickey's like, every pug thinks they got another one left in them, and then Rocky does that. Maybe it's you that doesn't have the fight in them anymore, the tools anymore, and then Mickey like cold slaps him across the face.
Yeah. Joe, and any scene with Burgess Meredith in that franchise was just absolutely fantastic. He was a great actor, even when he was playing the Penguin. Any scene with him in was brilliant.
It was a great catch for them. I wonder, some of the alternative casting that could have happened in this film. I think they talked about Cher originally being Adrian.
Oh, that would have been horrendous. That would have been up there with the man on the bear rug actually becoming Rocky.
Burt Reynolds. Can you imagine if it was Burt Reynolds and Cher?
Oh God, no. I don't think it would have hung around as long as it had with those two as the main characters.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would always love to see the alternative, the alternative universe version, because you always hear about the films like so and so turned down the role of this film or whatever, and it would have been hilarious to see like Magnum PI was supposed to be Indiana Jones originally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just I suppose you get so used to the people playing the characters, you can't imagine anyone else playing them. It couldn't have worked. It couldn't have done.
I think what, I don't want. Maybe I'm saying this wrong or remembering wrong, but I think Stallone was offered. He might have been offered The Matrix, or somebody like him was offered The Matrix. I kid you not. They turned it down.
I heard he was maybe offered the role in Speed.
Oh, and that's the Keanu Reeves connection. Okay, yeah. Okay,
yeah. But again, I think it possibly wouldn't have worked as well.
I think it was Speed. I think Speed I could have seen work.
I think it was just quite good that by that time Stallone was just like a mega star, and I could be wrong, but I mean at that point Keanu wasn't as big. I think it was pre-Matrix.
Right, it was, yeah.
And it was going just like for that everyman guy that was just put in an unbelievable situation and how he would cope with it and resolve it.
So you're obviously now you're a huge Rocky fan. Has your fan of Rocky? Are you a Stallone fan overall as well?
I am, yeah. But ultimately, it's Rocky that is like the main character. But I've seen probably the vast majority of his films. I've seen all the Rambo films, Judge Dredd, Cliffhanger. Unfortunately, I did also see that film when he was supposed to be the gangster, and also Stop or My Mum Will Shoot. But
Oscar?
Oscar, that's it. Yeah, those two were interesting. He was obviously trying to do something a little bit different, but they were okay, but they weren't great. But all the others I thought were fantastic.
He fought, and understandably so. Some people fight kind of what they're known for, and I don't know where that comes from. Like how should I say this? Like I know Harrison Ford, and it bugged me because Harrison Ford begrudgingly was Han Solo, if that makes sense. Like Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die in Empire Strikes Back.
I heard it was in Return of the Jedi that he wanted him to die, but I mean, yeah, and I think it was Empire. That's why they put him in the frozen thing. I think we were supposed to think that either way he could have just been dead and just never come back or something like that. Yeah, and I can imagine how the conversation would have gone for when he came back in the last one. I can imagine it saying, "Yeah, I'll come back. That's it. I'll come back. I'll be Han Solo again, but you're going to kill me at the end of it. Otherwise, I'm not coming back."
Yeah, I think that was totally what happened. And there was a part of me when Han Solo died, spoiler alert, in The Force Awakens, I was kind of like, this was my response in the theater.
Yeah, I didn't see it at the theaters, actually. I didn't see it until probably only about a year or two ago. But I knew that a main character died, and I kind of just put two and two together based on what I'd heard and read from previous that it was going to be Han Solo.
Yeah, and I heard that he died too before I saw it. I don't care about those type of spoilers because I always say, knowing that he died, it didn't affect, like, to me, I didn't know when in the movie. I didn't know who did it. I didn't know how it was done. And then I find the story afterwards, like how the story is told after the death, more interesting than just the fact that the character's dead.
Yeah, I suppose if you know in advance he's going to die, so it'd be more interesting to see how they develop that and go on from that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a huge surprise to me either.
So we can talk on the Rambo films really quick. How do you rank those ones?
I would probably go first one number one, then number two, then I'd probably go only slightly four, and then three.
That's probably
so I'll
fair.
just
That's fair.
yeah.
You know, James Cameron wrote the second one, right?
I didn't know. No, the guy that wrote Titanic. That's impressive.
Yeah, he it was one of his. He wrote with, of course, with Stallone. I think it was the combination, but I think it was screenplay and story. But James Cameron had a writing part in that. This was his pre. This would have been around the time Terminator. No, sorry. This would have been. Sorry, this would have been. This would have been Rambo 2. Oh boy, it was 86 or 7 because 85 or 86 because Rambo 3 I remember was 88 for some reason. I remember that. But yeah, Rambo 3 was 88. In fact, Stallone was the same age in Rambo 3 as I am right now.
Okay.
It's weird.
Yeah,
I always look at those photos. You remember he had the big hair?
Yeah.
And then 4, the thing about 4 that I enjoyed them all. I think 3 was, of course it's silly. It's the silliest of the 3. But what I loved about 4 was, of course, the back to the brutality, and they made it like hard R, which I liked. Very violent, very brutal. It was just so short.
Yeah, it's like about 1 hour 20, 1 hour 30, something like that.
I don't understand. Like, there's a part of me that, how should I say this? Like, I love Stallone. Maybe that's why I won't come on the podcast. No, I love Stallone, but he has this weird need to delete things or to not put scenes in. I don't know if he's beholden by the company, but he wrote and directed it, and it wasn't that expensive. Like there's edited scenes that like deleted scenes throughout that movie that I know they've leaked on YouTube or they might be on the DVD itself. I always wonder, like, this movie wasn't very long. Like, why didn't you have these storylines in it? I don't understand the need to get rid of them.
Maybe he's just a perfectionist. He wasn't happy with those deleted or those scenes that he got rid of.
And there's tons of deleted scenes.
Ask him when he comes on. When you get him on eventually, you can ask him that.
Yeah, well, that was my only criticism about Rambo 4 was if I could fix it, like that last scene with the 50 cal blowing apart the army. That's a great violent, brutal. Like, I love that sequence. But I wish it wasn't the end. I wish we saw him kind of do one last look, like maybe that leader got away, right? And so instead of him just finding him really quickly and guiding him out in the open there, that he had to infiltrate his base still and do some more hand-to-hand combat, like one-on-ones fighting stuff through his guards to get to the guy. It would have been kind of cool to see like one last mini mission with the survivors of the battle on the base camp or something like that.
Having said that, I think, wasn't it, I'm sure it was 4 that he actually ends up going home back to what was like the ranch or something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite a good ending, although possibly, I think you guys might have even said it on the podcast in the past about it not being the Rambo house, but his commander. He goes back to see his commander.
No, it's his father's house, I think.
Yeah, but I was just wondering if maybe that would have been a little bit more poignant if he'd gone back to see the commander itself.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's talk now about the series Rambo, kind of a reboot or something like that. It should be interesting. Like,
well, they're doing it with Lethal Weapon at the moment.
That's right.
That's just started out over here, and I've seen the first couple of episodes, and that's working out pretty well. So whether Stallone's going to be involved in it at all.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he's involved in it in the sense of acting in it. But, to be fair, the Rambo character, though he made it his own, he didn't create it. So I can part with that one a little bit better. It's not his creation. It was, based on a novel by David Barrell. So, yeah. Before we close up, let's talk about what you do for work out there.
Right. I work in the print and direct mail industry, so it's not hugely exciting. So I hope my boss doesn't listen to this. But it's a good team to work for. We have a good laugh.
So what do you guys print? I saw your website. UK print or something like that, or what's it called? Design print?
No, Positive Images.
Positive
So,
Images, yeah.
Yeah, so we print anything from like short run digital business cards to big brochures, mailing out for like main high street retailers, things like that. So it's interesting. It's very varied, and it pays the bills.
Well,
Which is
sure.
good.
I'm in the Navy, pays the bills. It's not my. I could care less if my bosses listen. It pays the bills, and I would take pride wherever I worked, anyways, in my personal pride. Do your best, do the best you can. But yeah, would I love to be working on films and working in the industry? Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just think of some questions here. It's okay. Don't worry. This pause here will be edited.
Okay, that's cool.
You've been awesome, Dave. You've been no, seriously, you've been. I really appreciate your insight on these films, but I feel like we should talk more about Rocky. We kind of gleaned over them. Let's just one exercise I'd like to do is the first film. I think is a perfect film. There's nothing that can change in it. But if you were to pick, let's just start with two. If you were to go through each one, pick one thing that you wish didn't happen or got changed. What would it be in each film? So part two.
In each film. Right. So number one, I'm leaving alone, as you say.
Yeah.
It's just as near to a perfect film as you're going to get. Number two, I don't know, maybe the opening sequence where they're going through the city and in the ambulance. That kind of takes a little while.
Yeah, Rocky 2 was the longest of all the films, and I always joke about that opening ambulance scene, like with the credits rolling. Like, do we really have to see the ambulance going to the streets with the credits rolling? Like, and it's terrible music, I think. But
yeah, it was. I don't think they've done anything like that in any of the other films in the opening sequences or anything like that. Number three, man, that's a tough one. I don't know what I would necessarily change in the others. Three, ironically, is probably the one I know the least. I probably know five more than three. There's a hell of a lot of change in five, but we've already talked about that. I don't know. I can't think of anything I would necessarily change in number three.
Maybe more of a longer romantic scene between Apollo and Rocky in the water there.
Oh, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? Yeah, that was that was interesting viewing. I don't know. Maybe being able to actually understand what Rocky was saying is he's bent over the dead Mickey. That's kind of weird. You can't really understand what he's saying there, other than we've got more to do.
Yeah, he talked about that. Have you watched it? You have it on DVD and stuff, right? You said?
Yeah, I've got them all on DVD, yeah.
Have you watched them with the captions on?
I haven't actually, no.
Okay, dude. Okay, so what you need to do, this is your assignment. Okay? You need to go back to Rocky 3, turn on the captions, the closed captions during that, because he does say stuff, and you don't know what he says unless the official closed captions come through. It actually makes the scene more brutal, and the whole what Mickey's saying and what Rocky's saying back to him, he's just basically saying the Lord's name in vain as he's screaming in his robe, with his head down. But yeah, he's saying we got more things to do. We got more things to do, and but yeah, I don't know. You definitely put the captions on. You catch a lot of dialogue there. Yeah. So
okay,
you should watch.
I'll be doing that tonight.
You should watch all the movies with the captions because there's things that you miss. I watch them with the captions. There's like little subtle jokes that Rocky does in the first film too. And there's just some dialogue that you don't hear. Like we talked about in that last Rocky 2 when Mickey. Actually, we recorded this, but we haven't released it. When Adrian says "win," and Mickey says, "Well, what are we waiting for?" And then he says,
"What's that next bit?"
Yeah, see. He actually says, you know what he says? He yells out, "Take us."
Okay. Yeah. I was like, I've often wondered what actually he says at that point. I've never thought about just putting on the subtitles and seeing what it's actually said.
So that's your new, okay. Well, I mean, I don't have to give you a reason to watch Rocky, but I recommend to everybody to watch the Rocky series for, with captions, because between Mickey, between Stallone or the Rocky character, there's a lot of dialogue you'll miss. And Mickey's brutal for it. There was, especially during the training montage, Mickey's yelling stuff. he's yelling stuff like faster, faster, and then he yells out, sweat that olive oil out of you. There's just little pieces of dialogue that Mickey yells, or Stallone even says, and side characters will say in the crowd that the whoever writes the captions captures. And but yeah, so Mickey yells, "Take us," which is a weird.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that means to that. What he means by that, but
I think it's well, we talked about that, but maybe he's telling Paulie to take us because he has the car.
Yeah, yeah, that could make sense. But he says that straight after Adrian says win, so I don't know. Maybe he's saying, Rocky, take us to that victory. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, see, there you go. And those are the kind of things like we can't talk to Burgess Meredith anymore, but it's those kind of things where it's, why did you say that? What does that mean? Why are you saying take us? Why couldn't it have been like he yells, "What are we waiting for? Let's do this. Let's go. Let's take our places, everyone." But take us. It's such a weird. And then when Stallone or Rocky gets to the top of the steps after he's running with the kids, he yells. He yells. Ah! He actually yells, "I'm up."
Okay, I've definitely got to watch these films again with the subtitles on. It's got to be done. Yeah. Okay, I haven't watched. I was going to say, I mean, generally, generally the times I watch the first Rocky film these days is the night before I go out on a run or anything like that. So I might have to break with tradition there and just watch it just because I want to. Not that I need any reason. And just watch them all back to back again, all the subtitles on, and see what I can pick up.
Well, it's funny. I've become a subtitle watcher with everything I do now. With all the shows, you can't do it with live stuff because the captions are behind like a news story or like a sporting event, because they have the guy typing or whatever, but they type live, so it's behind. But I watch all my DVDs, all my TV shows with captions, because what happened was when I was younger, of course, but when my kids were young, we'd have a small house and all the kids would be playing. Well, they're playing in the living room, whatever, but they're making noise. I don't want to tell my kids, "Hey, be quiet. I'm watching TV." I can't. So I'd turn the captions on so I could hear the show, like listen to the show, because my kids would yell something or be happy about something, but I couldn't hear the show. And I've been hooked on captions ever since, because I find that I capture, like, you're really like reading the story and you're actually more involved. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, but you're just reading." But I mean, you're not reading like this. You're not reading the way you read a book. You kind of just hear it, and when you see the words with the audio, you're not really reading, but you're catching everything they're saying, if that makes sense.
It does. I'm definitely going to start doing that. And the first one's going to be the Rocky films. It's got to be done.
Yeah, and especially like in Rambo: First Blood Part 1, when he's doing that monologue at the end there with Colonel Troutman.
Yes, yeah. Again, I've never quite been able to capture what he's saying, but I'll have to do that now as well.
So you had a whole new adventure. It's like watching it again for the first time. You'll catch the whole story of when he's like, this stuff's all over me. It's what he says. There's a really cool dialogue. There's things that you miss. You're like, oh, that's what he says. It's just it's just the way he talks, because of that mouth defect he had when he was born.
Yeah.
And okay, Rocky 4. What would you change in that?
Actually, you know what? This is a really difficult question, because I'm such a huge fan of all the films. I find it difficult to say if there's anything that I'd want to change in them. Maybe playing some more of Burning Heart in the film, because that is a fantastic song. That is brilliant, and it just works perfectly with the movie itself. I don't know what I'd change about that.
We reached out to the I have done the Burning Heart. I think it was Burning Heart Survivor.
Yes, I think it was. Yeah.
I forget the name of the singer. It's on the tip of my tongue. The singer that does the Hearts on Fire song.
Yeah.
I love it. That's the one where he's driving his Lamborghini through the streets there.
No, that's No Easy Way Out. Hearts on Fire is the first. Isn't that the first? That's the second training montage when Adrian arrives, and he suddenly just steps it up again, because Adrian's the main driving force for him.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, I got it all. Yeah, I know. I love how we have the driving montage that shows the montage of the montages.
Yeah, Robin, was it Robin or Robert Tepper? Something,
That
was that it?
Yes, good job.
Yeah.
Holy smokes,
Yeah.
Robert Tepper. So I actually reached out to Robert Tepper himself to talk about his, quite frankly, his only hit, and and he still does stuff, and he's done interviews with other people, but it's kind of like he didn't respond. And there's a part of me is like, how should I say this? Like, what do you have to lose at this point? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, nobody's talking about Robert Tepper right now. Like, let's just be, other than us, we're probably the only people in the world right now who have mentioned his name out of 7 billion people.
Yeah, and who would know him for anything other than that, from that one hit in that one film?
Right, and if you go to his YouTube channel, he's got a few videos. Of course, the number one, like, it has millions of views. No Easy Way Out has 100 or millions of views, and then he has a couple of other singles that were just singles from his one big album, like tens of thousands. So the trickle effect drops that much between what everyone loves and knows him for the Rocky films. So it's a part of me is like, people say, well, he might. I'm not gonna say Robert because maybe he's listening and we'd love to have him on. But there's a part of me like, if you're known for something, and we talked about this with Harrison Ford and Han Solo. I mean, Stallone with Rambo and Rocky. I know Stallone has kind of embraced and said, you know what, that's fine. That's what I'm known for. That's what made my life successful. I've got millions of dollars for it. If I was only known for my podcast and it made me hundreds of millions of dollars, I could live with myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with being known for something. You don't have to be known. Like, I guess as an actor, some people feel like I have to be Robert De Niro, I have to be Meryl Streep, I have to be known for 100 roles. Where it's like, it's okay to be known for one character because that's more than millions of people are ever known for.
Absolutely, and if it's a character or in Robert Tepper's case, a song that everyone knows and absolutely loves, why not tap into that? And
I don't know.
It's just crazy. If I write a song and it's in a Rocky film, I'm out there every day shouting it from the rooftops.
Right. No kidding. My one successful song is like in one of the most popular Rocky films and films of all time that everybody knows. I don't know. So I'm going to try reaching out to him again, but I'm always wondering, like, when they read this, like, what he's saying. Like, no, I'm not talking to these ham and eggers. I'm not going to talk to them about the writing process or, how I felt when I saw my movie on the biggest screen at the time, the biggest movie at the time. Like, I got nothing to say about this. Like, I don't know. It's like,
it's crazy.
How busy is he on a daily basis with interviews and reach outs? I don't know.
Well, the fact that it's thousands on all his other songs and millions on that one song will probably give you an indication of how busy he really is.
Robert, if you're listening, I'm only speaking out of frustration because I want to talk to you because I just feel like everybody wants to hear the Rocky story. So actually, this is just a bit of frustration. It's not really directed at him so much. I've reached out to some people who have been in the Rocky films, who've been like editors, who are still alive, if you can believe. Like the original editor of Rocky 1 is still alive, and he has a website even. And
okay.
I've reached out to him because, some of these guys are probably in their 20s and 30s, right? So they're, 50, 60, 70 years old now. So they're, Stallone's age and younger, some of them. And it's like, I don't know why people, I don't know, maybe I'm just naive. Like, why they wouldn't just take 20 minutes out of, everyone kind of got a shot by somebody else taking a chance on them, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
it's kind of heartbreaking when you're reaching out from the very film where hundreds of people got their chance in the industry, and then someone says, hey, I'm trying to reach out to you, and do you mind throwing back some of that back of that karma? It's kind of depressing, I guess. That's the only part of this podcast that's been frustrating or depressing, is when I've reached out, people don't care.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to happen. And the chance, I think, you're only going to need to get one of the guys on, and then it could be like that snowball effect, and it'll all start going on, and then you get that one big snowball Stallone that will finally come on and leave you that voicemail message.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, Dave, I always said if we could have like 1,000 Daves and 1,000 superfan Matts, we could, my brother and I could maybe make some money, or not make money, I should say, but do this full time is what I mean. So the only reason why we can't do this full time is because we have to pay the bills, like you said.
Yeah.
But Dave, it's been a real pleasure meeting you. I feel like you and I could have been at a pub with a pint and talking to each other about Rocky. It's too bad we live so far away.
Yeah, absolutely. But if I get out to your neck of the woods, I'll certainly look you up. We could go down and grab that pint and could spend hours talking about the film.
Right on. Well, anything else you want to say before we shut her down? It's almost been an hour, if you can believe it.
Oh man, it's gone fast. I've the only other thing I was going to say is that question that you ask. What would you, that one question, if you got to meet him?
Oh yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had to make sure I say this because again, it's one of those ones I've been thinking about all week. I love that answer from a couple of podcasts ago. I can't remember the lady that was on and said what inspires her based on Rocky being an inspiration to everyone else. That was the best answer I'd heard, so I can't go with that. But I'd probably have to say, Mr. Stallone, I love all your movies; they're fantastic. And as much as I'd like to spend time with you, can you introduce me to Rocky and let me just go out on a run with that guy for half an hour?
That'd be awesome.
And just actually spend time with the character.
That'd be incredible. Yeah, no kidding, eh? I thought you were going to say, "Can I meet one of your daughters?" I thought you were going there for some reason.
Can't really say that, married man.
No, well, me too. But I was like, I thought you're like, oh, can I, But then you probably would have got your legs punched out. But hey, to say you got punched by Rocky, that's pretty good too, I guess.
If you're going to get one punch in the world to get hit by Rocky, I could live with that. I'll probably never watch that eye again.
Yeah. Something tells me Stallone at 70, if you threw a punch at my face, it'd probably hurt still.
I could imagine it probably would do. Yeah, I mean, he's no slouch.
No,
even
it's incredible.
now.
I can't believe how he looks at 70. Like, he's 30 years older than me, and I'm like, maybe he's had a little bit of whatever, but it's not that crazy. Whatever he's done, looks good, and the amount of work he puts into his body, it's like, and he tells you himself that it kills him. What he does to be the way that he is. He knows that but that he himself is his own product, if that makes sense. So he just keeps doing it. So, hey, Stallone, we love you. We love Rocky.
Yeah.
Dave, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time and saying hi to the show. And
no worries.
And I'll make this invitation to any of our listeners. If you want to go toe-to-toe with Ryan and Ruben, and Ruben couldn't be here today. He's traveling. He just saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers last night, so he's with his wife traveling back from the concert. But if any of our listeners want to talk to Ryan and Ruben on the show, please come in and crack wise. We would love to hear from you.
Cool. No, it's been a good time. I've enjoyed it. A like-minded Rocky nut like me. It's all good.
All right. Well, Dave, your episode will be on in a few episodes from now, but I think this is going to officially be episode 40. So look for that.
I will do. I'll keep an eye out for it, and I'll tell everyone to be listening out for it as well.
All right. Awesome, Dave. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support and your and everything. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
No worries. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.